Greetings, traveler. I am Sir Knox, the teller of tales. Would you like to hear one? Well, this one is called The Bathroom Break. Have you ever played with a DM who took realism a bit too seriously? Maybe they tracked rations down to the ounce, or made you roll for every step through a dungeon. Well, I've got a story about a DM named Derek, who took realistic simulation to a level that nobody, and I mean nobody, asked for. This is the tale of the DM who made his players roll constitution saves to hold their bladders. Yes, you heard that right. Bathroom breaks, at the table, and in-game. Settle in, because this one gets uncomfortable in ways you wouldn't expect. Our story takes place in a small gaming group that met every Saturday at Derek's house. The group had been together for about 4 months, playing through Derek's homebrew campaign called The Gritty Realms. And when Derek said gritty, he meant it. The players were Amanda, playing Sarah, a human ranger; Mike, playing Boren, a dwarf fighter; Lisa, playing Whisper, a halfling rogue; and Carlos, playing Eldrick, an elf wizard. Derek was one of those DMs who prided himself on immersive realism. He had spreadsheets for everything: temperature tracking, exact travel times down to the minute, weight calculations for every piece of equipment, hunger and thirst meters, exhaustion tracking that went beyond the normal D&D rules. At first, the players thought it was interesting. A bit crunchy, sure, but it made the world feel lived in. They had to plan their rations carefully. They couldn't just sprint everywhere without consequences. Weather actually mattered. But Derek kept adding more systems, more spreadsheets, more realism. Around month 2, he introduced a detailed infection system. Get hit with a rusty weapon, roll against disease, sleep in wet clothes, risk pneumonia. The party started spending more time managing medical conditions than adventuring. Month 3 brought the fatigue system. Not just exhaustion levels. Derek tracked actual sleep cycles. Your character needed exactly 8 hours of sleep, or you'd get penalties. He'd calculate REM cycles and everything. If your character got woken up during deep sleep, you'd have disadvantage all next day. The players were starting to get annoyed, but Derek seemed so proud of his systems. He'd talk about how most games don't respect the reality of adventuring, and how his game was like Dark Souls meets survival simulation. Then came session 14, the day everything went to shit, literally. The session started normally enough. The party was trekking through a swamp, trying to reach an ancient temple. Derek was describing the oppressive humidity, the mosquitoes, the soggy ground. About an hour into the session, Mike, the dwarf fighter, stood up.
"Hey, Derek, bathroom break?"
Derek looked up from his DM screen. "Your character or you?" Mike laughed.
Me, the actual human."
"Okay, sure, but Boren needs to make a constitution save."
The table went quiet.
"What?"
Mike said.
"Well, Boren's been marching through a swamp for 3 hours of in-game time. He hasn't relieved himself. Constitution save DC 10 to see if he can hold it."
Amanda spoke up. "Derek, Mike needs to use the actual bathroom, like in real life."
"I know,"
Derek said, flipping through a binder.
"I'm adding bodily function tracking to the game. It's about realism. Your characters have been adventuring for days without anyone addressing basic biological needs."
Carlos tried to lighten the mood. "Dude, we just assumed our characters peed off screen like in movies." Derek shook his head seriously.
"Not in my game. If we're doing realistic survival, we're doing it right. Mike, roll the save."
Mike, visibly uncomfortable and clearly needing to pee, grabbed a D20.
"This is insane."
He rolled. Natural 1. You can't make this stuff up. Derek made a note.
Boren has disadvantage on his next 3 ability checks due to discomfort. You should probably have him find a place to go soon. In-game, I mean. You can go to the bathroom now.
Mike practically ran out of the room. While he was gone, the table erupted. Is he serious? Lisa asked. I think he's serious, Amanda said. He's got a whole new sheet here, look. She pointed at Derek's screen where there was indeed a spreadsheet labeled Biological Functions Tracking. Carlos leaned back in his chair. This is going to be a problem. When Mike came back, he sat down heavily.
Okay, so what? Boren needs to pee in the swamp now?
Yes, Derek said. It'll take an action during combat, or 1 minute outside combat. You'll need to find appropriate cover if you don't want to expose yourself to enemies.
Expose himself? Amanda started laughing. Derek, this is ridiculous. But Derek wasn't laughing.
It's realistic. Soldiers in the field have to deal with this. Adventurers would too.
The session continued, now with everyone acutely aware that their characters had bladders. Derek would occasionally announce,
"It's been 4 hours in-game. Everyone make constitution saves, DC 8.
Most of the time, people passed, but the failures started adding up. Mike's dwarf got the discomfort penalties twice more. Lisa's halfling failed once and had to spend an in-game minute finding a bush. Then came the random encounter. A group of lizard folk ambushed the party.
Roll initiative,
Derek called out. Combat started. It was a tough fight. 5 lizard folk against a party of 4, but they were handling it until round 3.
Amanda,
Derek said.
Sarah needs to make a constitution save.
Now? We're in combat!
Your character has been holding it for 6 hours in-game. The stress of combat, the physical exertion, DC 12.
Amanda stared at him. You cannot be serious.
Roll.
She rolled. 9. Derek made a note.
Sarah has disadvantage on all attack rolls and ability checks. The discomfort is becoming a serious distraction.
Seriously? Amanda muttered, but she kept playing. 2 rounds later, in the middle of her turn, Derek interrupted again.
Make another save, DC 15 this time.
Derek, I'm trying to kill this lizard folk.
I know, roll.
She rolled. 6. Derek paused for dramatic effect.
Sarah has an accident.
The table went silent.
I'm sorry, what? Amanda's face was red. Your character loses bladder control. She's now soaked, uncomfortable, and humiliated. All ability checks at disadvantage until she can change clothes and clean up. Also, there's a chance of chafing if she continues vigorous activity.
Amanda stood up. I'm out. I'm not playing this.
It's just realistic consequences. Derek, my character pissed herself in the middle of combat because you made me roll dice for bathroom functions. This is insane.
Mike backed her up.
Dude, this is too far. Way too far.
But Derek doubled down.
In a real survival situation, this would happen. Medieval travelers didn't have convenient rest stops. This is what my campaign is about, showing the real difficulties of adventuring.
Carlos trying to mediate. Maybe we just assume characters handle this off-screen, like eating and drinking.
We don't assume eating and drinking off-screen. I tracked that.
Exactly, Lisa said quietly. And it's not fun anymore. The session fell apart. Amanda refused to continue until Derek removed the piss mechanics. Mike said if his dwarf had to roll another bathroom save, he was walking. Lisa just looked exhausted. Carlos was trying to keep the peace, but even he admitted it was absurd. Derek pulled out a printed document.
I actually wrote out full rules for this.
Look, there are modifiers for race, constitution score, fluid intake, temperature, stress levels. I spent 2 weeks on this system. 2 weeks you could have spent on plot. Amanda shot back.
This is plot! This is vermicelitude! How can you roleplay a gritty survivalist adventure if we're not accounting for basic biology?
Mike stood up.
Derek, man, I love complex games. I like the ration tracking. Even the sleep cycles were interesting at first, but this, making Amanda roleplay her character pissing herself, that's not fun. That's humiliating.
It's not about humiliation. It's about...
Then why did you describe the accident in detail? Amanda interrupted. Why did you mention soaked clothes and chafing? You're being weird, Derek. That hit him. Derek went quiet. Lisa finally spoke up. I think maybe you've lost perspective. You're so focused on realism that you forgot we're playing a game with dragons and magic. We're not playing medieval bathroom simulator. Carlos added, if you want to track food and water, fine. If you want to track sleep, okay. But biological functions, that's crossing a line into stuff that should stay private and off-screen. Derek looked at his spreadsheet, his carefully crafted system. But I work so hard on the balance. The DCs scale with time. The penalties are proportional.
Nobody cares,
Mike said, not unkindly.
Nobody wants to roll P, Derek.
There was a long silence. Finally, Derek closed his laptop.
I thought I was making the game more immersive.
You were making it uncomfortable, Amanda said. There's a difference. The group took a 2-week break. During that time, Derek did some serious reflection. He posted in some online DM forums about his realism systems and got absolutely roasted. The responses ranged from, "This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard," to, "Please seek therapy." One response stuck with him though. An experienced DM wrote, "Realism in D&D isn't about simulating every bodily function. It's about making consequences feel meaningful and creating vermicelitude where it enhances the story. Tracking arrows? Cool. Tracking bladder capacity? That's not gritty realism, that's just uncomfortable for everyone." When the group met again, Derek apologized. Like, genuinely apologized.
I got obsessed with systems and lost sight of fun, he admitted. I thought more complexity meant better gameplay, but I was just making you all miserable. The bathroom thing was... yeah, it was weird and inappropriate. I'm sorry, especially to you, Amanda.
Amanda accepted the apology, but had a condition. We're cutting like 60% of your tracking systems. Keep rations and basic travel times. Everything else goes. Derek agreed. He actually seemed relieved. The campaign continued for another 6 months with a much lighter tracking system. Derek learned to pick his battles with realism. Yes to maintaining equipment. No to calculating sweat loss. Yes to travel fatigue. No to, well, you know. The group still jokes about Session 14. Mike bought Derek a t-shirt that says, "I survived the bladder check," as a birthday gift. Derek laughed and wears it to conventions. But here's the thing, Derek admitted later that he'd started getting weirdly obsessive about control. The tracking systems weren't really about realism. They were about having total authority over every aspect of the game, including stuff that should be private and personal. The bathroom mechanics were where it became undeniable. He talked to a counselor about his need for control, and it apparently helped him a lot, both in DMing and in life. So what's the lesson here? Realism in D&D is a spice, not the whole meal. A little bit can enhance flavor. Tracking resources creates tension. Environmental hazards add challenge. But when you're tracking biological functions, you've gone from immersive details to weird simulation that makes everyone uncomfortable. There's also a line between player and character. What happens to characters can stay abstract. We don't narrate every meal, every bathroom break, every moment of basic hygiene. That's the social contract of gaming. We focus on the interesting parts, the adventure, not the mundane biology. And if you find yourself spending 2 weeks creating a spreadsheet for something that makes your players uncomfortable, that's not dedication to realism, that's obsession, and it's time to step back and ask why you're doing it. Derek learned his lesson the hard way, but at least he learned it. Some DMs never figure out where the line is. So the next time you want to add realism to your game, ask yourself, does this make the game more fun, or just more complex? And for the love of all the dice, please don't make your players roll constitution saves for bathroom breaks. Thanks for listening to this tale, Traveler. Remember, may your dice roll high and your DM respect basic human dignity. Safe travels.